Talent hits a target no one else can hit, but a genius, however, hits a target no one else can see.
Conceive, believe, achieve.
But one thing out of all of this, if there's anything out of this pod today that I really want to drive home to you guys, and this is something that I've been really trying to hold back this whole time. Right, so guys, today, welcome to the JXV podcast. And in today's podcast, we're going to be talking a bit about, I'd like to say, Barbara Oakley's most significant element or chapter to her book, Mind for Numbers. And that chapter is Overcoming Procrastination. Yash, how are you today?
I'm amazing. As usual. I've said it quite too many times. But particularly today because procrastination is a topic that is all too familiar. I think students this is probably the number one most typed up topic by a student on YouTube. So I'm hoping that today we can tackle this problem and give you guys the best advice, what not to do as well, what we have done, and what we still do today, to this day. But yeah, cool. Without further ado.
Cool. Yeah. Now, but let me ask you this, Rios, though. How's your week been? You been procrastinating this week?
How's my week been? I've been procrastinating this week. Regardless of the week, I think today I've been procrastinating.
Really?
Not too much, so don't worry about it. But I was trying to get myself together to do all of the work, all the schoolwork that I have had to do for this week. And I was going about it a particular way, which we will explore today, and that is to do a to-do list, which helps me to break down what it is I need to do, what I need to prioritize. So that's how I overcame it today. But yeah, I think this happens to me on a daily basis.
Without doubt. How
about you?
I like to say myself as well. Yeah, 100%. Myself, I have been, it's like a bit of 50-50 with me. Some days are good, some days are bad, some days are really productive, some days not so much. I think there's a bit of a balance which I strike between the two, but sometimes, I could have days where I just look at my phone and just endlessly scroll away, or just some days I can go days without doing it. But really, without further ado, let's just jump straight into defining what procrastination really is. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing a task or a set of tasks. And as well as this, this quote it really stuck out to me, and I'm going to read it to you guys. It's procrastination. Procrastination is an emotion. It's an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. And this was said by Tim Cycle, who is a professor of psychology and a member of the procrastination research group at Carleton University in Ottawa. And this stuck out to me only because I've always thought of procrastination as an element of a time management aspect, but not necessarily an emotion regulation problem. To see the perspective switch like that, more of it being a mindset shift than it is a time management shift, because time management, I like to think of it as quite manual in how you set out your day, and procrastination could be seen as a choice, but not necessarily an intrinsic, regulation or a problem of emotion in that regard. But Viyash, what's your take on that?
That surprises me actually. Because when I think, the first thing I think of when I try to overcome procrastination is I need a timetable that forces me to do the tasks. so that I can. It's similar to the timetable you'll get at sixth form or school or even uni. I'm not sure if you get one, but that timetable it forces you to go to your lesson, so it forces you to do studying at a particular time of a particular subject. So I thought, if I do that at school and I'm able to be productive, why is it not working at home? Why am I not able to follow the timetable I make at home to overcome procrastination? And now that you've just spun that take on procrastination, I think that opens up a whole new world of ideas that we can delve into. And one of those is, in order to overcome procrastination, you should make a start on it. The task that you are putting off for hours and hours on end, just make a start. Do break it down into little tasks, and then make a start on one of those tasks. And by doing this, you're already invested in what it is the bigger thing is, and it tricks you into actually doing the whole task. So for me personally, if I've got a project, like a presentation that I have to do, just making one slide, even just making the intro slide to that presentation, it gets you into that mindset of doing the whole thing. And by making a start on the task, you will find that because you've already started it, you feel reluctant to move away from it because you're already thinking about it. If that makes a bit of sense.
On the lines of what you were already saying previously, of how you just need to make a start, I could not agree more with that statement. There is so much, I think, that goes into just putting off work, delaying it. But as soon as you let's say, ask yourself this question: if you were to start for 1 minute or 2 minutes or even 3 minutes for that matter, and just do the task for 3 minutes, that 3 minutes, I feel, for myself in particular, will then just compound even further. That 3 minutes will just compound to a point where it ends up being an hour or 2 hours or even 3 hours in duration, only because of how invested in the task that I get to. So say, for example, I'm doing a systematic meta-analysis for my dissertation, and as soon as I start, say, I need to create these CASP checklists for these articles in which I have selected out, so double-blind RCT trials, and I need to spend a lot of time dissecting this article, breaking it down for what it is, because there is a lot of jargon that's going on, there's a lot of stats, there's lots of statistical significance that I really need to break down and understand and interpret. And from that, I'm effectively able to do that, but it takes time to do that. But as soon as I start on one article, I am not finishing it until I get it done. And on that thought process of what I've previously said, Oakley provides tips to tackle procrastination, such as pacing yourself. And this can be broken down into two respects, where you can be focusing on the process rather than the product. So where you are focusing on the duration and what it takes to get the task done, rather than what the end product looks like. And I think there's a bit of a take that I have on this, only because people have different ways of tackling situations like this. It might be more beneficial for someone to tackle the process, or it might be necessarily more beneficial for someone to tackle it as an end product, to view it in that regard, only because it allows for them to, let's say, viewing it in that respect allows for that discipline and motivation to get it done, rather than viewing it in the sense of a process. And Vihash, what way would you say that you could view this regard?
In this aspect, I go against what Barbara Oakley says. I find, for me, it's easier to focus on the end product, the end goal. And I would have thought that this is quite common in most students, because just having your mindset on that end goal might help you work towards, through sheer determination, just work towards it. And the reason why I find it benefits me more is because once I've gotten to that goal, once I finish the task, I get an overwhelming sense of achievement. It's one of the best feelings that I get. When you finish a product or a project, even just editing these videos, when I finish editing them and I watch them back, I get such a sense of achievement. Even if it's just adding music to this, I just think it's. I find that that's a feeling is unbeatable, which is why I prefer to look at the end product rather than the process. But on the other hand, I know, Joseph, you prefer to look at the process.
Without doubt, it's only because I like to think of structuring my day in such a sequence that I lose track of what the end goal kind of really looks like, but I look at the milestones that I need to get to and the process required to get to that point. So it's like journey over destination, right? You get to the destination, you enjoy your product. But I think the journey is so integral to myself in particular, because I really need to not only understand the depth and the time that's required or needed to invest in such a topic or assessment for that matter, but really to think of it in that regard over the end goal, because I feel the end goal could look slightly intimidating for myself, and therefore in some cases it actually has put me off. But I'll dive more into that later on. Now the second aspect of this would be removing or ignoring distractions. There is so much going on in such a tech-driven, highly stimulating environment that we are all working in, whether that would be our phone buzzing, ping, we've got a notification, or whether that would be our laptop showing our notification for some calendar event that's going to pop up recently in the next 2 days, or warning you have so-and-so event coming up.
Yeah.
You need to prepare or go to that. Or in 3 weeks' time, you have an assessment ping. That's another thing that you need to kind of make or keep track of. There are so many different things going on nowadays, more than ever. As a student, it's such an overly stimulating. Sometimes I can just lead myself to the brink of just resorting to whatever is popping up. I end up doing that task at hand, but never actually getting the task that I need to get done at hand. So this delays the process even further. And thus, I like to think of these notifications as a form of distraction. And that's the number one reason why people end up procrastinating, because there's so much things going on around you. You lose track of what it is you need to prioritize, and it turns out that the thing at the top of your number one list ends up going towards the bottom because you're getting so many notifications, just like you said. Which is why I think we touched on this. The to-do list is a really good way to go about prioritizing what it is you need to get done in a day or in a week. So, Joseph, could you elaborate on how to go about making a to-do list? So, personally, how I go about making a to-do list is I would list down all the things that I need to do. And this might sound very counterintuitive and very anti-productivity, but something that has worked for myself. I like to achieve things towards the end of my day. And that involves listing, even if it sounds quite ridiculous, okay? Like 10 to 15 things I want to get done in that day. And although that sounds incredibly unrealistic, I would like to think that I get at least 5 to 7 things done out of however many things that I've listed down. Only because it's that sense of accomplishment in that I've been able to get these particular tasks done, and knowing that I've been able to get these done. And also, it's also getting the most trivial and easy tasks out the way to begin the day. So whether that would be emailing a lecturer regarding my dissertation, or whether that would be making a CAS checklist for the last research article that I need to make it for, because let's say I've got around eight research articles which are double-blind RCTs, and I've only done it for 7 of them. So tomorrow, really, my plan is to get that done as well. And another thing that could be wanting to get done would be, say, for example, revising for the lecture that I have on Friday, or even calculations. There are 2 respects that I kind of go about this. Because I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. Let me simplify it. So there are things which I like to embed a level of consistency for, okay? So particularly within pharmacy school, there are certain things that I just need to stay on top of. Refining my knowledge each and every day, but also making sure that I stay consistent on the knowledge that I already know. So this would be making sure that I am tip-top on calculations. That is a baseline requirement, or a minimum for that matter. Because calculation as a pharmacy student, you just need to make sure that you know all the techniques or the ways to solve these sorts of calculations, because we are going to have a big calculations exam at the end of the year, but not this year, I think, towards the academic year. That's one respect. Another respect would be making sure that I am fully immersed in my drug knowledge. So making sure that I dive into particular systems like cardiovascular, like endocrine, but making sure that I do that over the course of 3 days, because that is my objective. In my to-do list, it would be required that I have calculations dive into a particular system, that would be, say, for example, cardiovascular, and divulge into the medications that are involved in the cardiovascular system. As well as this, I would also need to make sure that I'm effectively breaking down some of the coursework or assessments that I have leading up in the next couple of weeks. So say, for example, I have a law exam which is coming up. So I would need to make sure that I am preparing equally for that. So as in equally every day, that I'm investing time necessary to do well in that exam. And finally, there is one last element to this: coursework, because we need to make sure that we are making sure that we are staying on top of coursework. So I would be at least investing an hour or two each day towards my coursework, making sure that I'm consistent on it day in, day out. So towards the end of the 4-week period, I would not only be refined on my calculations and my drug knowledge, but also ahead of the game in the perspective of my coursework, but also tip-top knowledge in my law exam. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's actually flagged up one thing I wanted to say. When you come to creating the to-do list, I create a to-do list for the week rather than the day.
Wow.
And the reason why I do that is because I'm able to, well, for me, a day, I'm not able to picture what it is that I do in a day because it keeps changing. So if you are someone who does have a constantly changing day, then you might prefer to do a to-do list for a week. And I've actually seen a mistake that I do through what Joseph has just said. I realized that when I create my to-do list, I'm very abstract in what it is I actually write down. For instance, the other week I wrote down a task which was just to revise for a biology test that I had. And because I wasn't specific in what it is exactly I need to revise and how I should go about it, I ended up putting it off towards the end, which wasn't beneficial for me, of course, and it prevented me from consistently revising or consistently doing that particular task, like Joseph has just said. So maybe being a bit more precise in what it is exactly you want to do, giving a bit more detail might actually prompt you to do it, because then you're clear in your head, and your mind is set towards that particular process or that particular end goal that you want. So that might be a tip that you guys should consider when you create these. And just one quote that intrigued me from the book was about procrastination, if you don't mind me saying it. Procrastination is like addiction. It offers temporary excitement and relief from boring reality. That is probably hands down the most relatable quote I've ever heard in my life, and that's because partially because I've done it so many times, and that's the only reason why I've done it, so that I put off something that's potentially boring to do something that's more fun. How do you? Am I being crazy, or is this something you feel as well, Joseph?
Without doubt, I think it goes without saying that when you are doing a given task at hand, to escape from that reality of just being immersed in this just like repeated cycle of just having to read through your, I don't know, you're doing biology, right? Reading through your cell membranes topic, right? Of how what a lipid is, what does hydrophobicity mean, what does hydrophilicity mean, that sort of thing. Such innately just could be at times for some possibly boring in some cases, but to escape from the reality and just pick up your phone and just mindlessly scroll away, it feels so good to do, but it's also so bad. But let me ask you this, Viyash. Like I've said about mindlessly scrolling away, you could mindlessly scroll away on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Let me ask you this question: what are the most common distractions or procrastination triggers in your daily life? I'm
trying to think now. It probably is scrolling through YouTube. I'm trying to find YouTube video or watching something that I enjoy on the TV, or I mean, for me, anything. I get really easily distracted. So even if it's just one message that pops up or one email, maybe because of the sense of urgency or sense of excitement as to what it is that's come on my phone, that probably triggers me to get distracted very easily. But mine is very general and quite boring in that sense, so nothing exciting. I assume it's something similar with you as well.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. It's like having those notifications pop up, or even like if I was on my phone and I was doing something fairly productive, I was looking something on the BNF, right? Looking up something on the BNF, I'd feel like this sudden urge just go like, oh, what's on Instagram? Oh, let's have a look at the nice Porsche cars I like, because I
Yeah,
follow a lot of fan
you're a
pages for
car guy.
Porsche. Yeah, man, I love my 911s, my Cayennes. Oh, bro, I love Porsches. They're such a
Fair enough,
nice,
yeah.
subtle, sublime car, which is like discreet. It is very discreet in what it is. It's not flashy. Oh, so in some cases it can be flashy, but nice and discreet, low key.
Yeah.
That's what I. But
Well,
yeah,
you know what I'm thinking of doing now? I might edit in a picture of a Porsche just to
you know what? Go for it.
just-
Throw up one.
yeah.
But nice Porsche though. Yeah.
a nice one.
All right.
Or
Really nice one.
maybe I'll do you dirty and just make you look like someone who likes a really boring car.
Oh,
No.
damn, man. Nah, you can't be doing that. Nah, so if you do that, I'm going to have to re-edit it. I'm going to have to find a way to re-edit it. Or, you know what? I might have to cut out Reel to make sure that I've covered the image that you're showing right now. But, it is what it is. We'll have to.
Okay.
You know what?
Well-
I'll accept it. Regardless of what image you put on right now, I'll be happy with. Yeah? Because
Okay.
all Porsches are nice.
Okay, the one just for that, I'm gonna put up a really bad one now. Anyway, we've just got distracted from what it is we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And I just wanted to say one reason as to why you don't want to go down that rabbit hole of scrolling through YouTube or getting distracted. And I'm sure it's relatable for most of you, and that is when you finish your task, whether it's 1 hour later or a couple of hours later, whenever you finish that task, you have this overwhelming sense of guilt that is just, I hate it. It happens to me so much, and I'm like, in that 1 hour I just spent doing anything but studying, I could have just finished the project that I've been putting off for weeks. You know what I mean? So do you guys really want to substitute that 1 hour of TikTok scrolling for that overwhelming sense of guilt? And not only that, also if it is a piece of homework, a potential detention.
Oh my god! But it's also like making sure that you have the right measures in place to, like, more of like a protective mechanism to make sure that you don't necessarily relapse into this circle of just endlessly or mindlessly scrolling away. And I'll actually touch upon that later on, because there is an underrated app which I think you guys would hugely benefit from. But really, there is a major point which I feel like needs to be addressed, but something which could already contradict what we kind of already previously have said. Is procrastination really a problem? Like, with what we've already said, we have addressed that it is a problem. It needs to be tackled. But is it really a problem? Vikas, what do you think? Is it really a problem?
Well, Oakley, in her book, she acknowledges that procrastination, in the strictest sense, is not actually a problem. Sometimes you can actually make use of procrastination by deferring certain tasks until later. I mean, if we're doing a project, I keep going back to it, but if we're doing a project, if you just rush into that project without planning, without having a foundation, it might necessitate reworking it, and it might require you to come back to it over and over again, which just makes the process 100 times longer and probably has a trickle-down effect onto similar tasks that you have in the future. Whereas if you pause, give yourself some time before you do the task, do something else, that might give you a chance to reflect and, like I said, plan how you go about making that task and make it more time efficient and effort efficient. But on the other hand, Joseph, could you give us the other hand?
Habitual procrastination. You guys are probably thinking, what on earth are you talking about? Well, again, this is another concept which Oakley she does go over, where Oakley asserts that habitual procrastination is a problem. It genuinely, innately is a problem, because you need to make conscious decisions about how to spend your time in order to spend it productively. Now, she cautions that, like any habit, you can slip into procrastination without even thinking or without even realizing that you're doing it. And this is huge, I think, in so many different regards, only because that you could be doing something that could literally be sailing you through, I don't know, whatever assessment that you're doing. Or, say, for example, I could be doing my dissertation task. I just pick up my phone, and without even thinking, I could just end up mindlessly scrolling away. And that's just because of just pure and innate habit, just picking it up and just scrolling away. Thinking back on it in retrospect, I don't do this anymore, okay? And that's all thanks to what I have in place. So again, this is something I'll be touching on later on. Right, so moving swiftly on. The anatomy of procrastination. A habit which is made up of 4 different parts, or different respects for that matter. First being that procrastination cue, okay? Number 2, the respect of the routine. Number 3, the reward. And number 4, the belief. Okay, sure. So Barbara Oakley dissects this, okay, and divulges into the aspect of the anatomy of procrastination. And like what I've already said, procrastination cue, routine, the reward, and the belief. These are what intrinsically make up procrastination. She breaks it down even further into breaking down what even is the cue of procrastination. What is the procrastination cue? Well, the first part is the pain of anticipation, and the second part is the cue of distraction. So I'm going to dive in first to the pain of anticipation. The unpleasant feeling that you get from anticipating an activity that makes you uncomfortable. This could be trying to take on a large monumental task. Now, this is why, so let's make reference to what was said earlier about how Barbara Oakley kind of went about it in the respect that you should focus more on the process than you should on the outcome. But then again, this is very conflicting to myself, only because you could see the process being incredibly lengthy, but the end product, let's say, slightly more attainable in what's possible, if you know what I'm trying to say. But I say this because this might be something. So say, for example, if you have a deadline which is due, okay, let's say in a week's time, but the only way that you can get to this end goal is if you were consistent day in, day out for the next month, okay, every day for the next month. This makes the end goal very achievable, right? Because you've put in, let's say, an hour a day towards this end goal. Vice versa, you have a deadline next week. The amount of effort that's required to put in towards this end goal is significantly more. The process that's required is now substantially increased. So really, it's kind of conflicting the way I should view this and whatever angle I should view this from. Because personally, I could kind of go back on the respect that, okay, maybe viewing the process in that regard kind of puts me off. But maybe viewing the end goal kind of motivates me and instills that discipline in myself to actually get the task done.
So are you saying that you're moving away from what Barbara Oakley's saying?
It's difficult because sometimes you can bounce between the two, I feel like. But I feel more closely aligned with the respect of following the process than I am with the end goal. Okay?
Well, I think with the only issue with looking at the end goal is if the end goal is unachievable or unattainable without having thought through the process. Right. So I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Let me have a little think. If for instance, only because I had a competition yesterday, but if your end goal was to win an award or win a trophy in whether it's it could be any type of competition, and that's your end goal, and you have no clue how it is you're going to get there, you can't really get there through sheer determination without having researched or planned or broken up your process. So in that sense, looking at your process, it gives you that sense of progress, and allows you to take a step back and see how that progress can slowly but surely get you to the end goal. So I see why the steps and dividing into several subroutines might be better. No,
without a doubt. But as well, like, we need to think of it from the second part as well, and in that respect, it is the distraction, right? Which makes up the cue for procrastination, right? So the distraction, which any stimulus that can shift your focus in order to escape the pain of anticipation. So you have the pain of anticipation, looking at the size or the monumental task that you have right in front of you. But as well as that, you also have the aspect of the distraction. All you need is that trigger. And if and when you do have that trigger, that's it. You are completely swayed away from what it is that you're doing. That notification that pops out, bang, click, scroll away. It's as easy as that. And I think that
Yeah.
two-step breakdown in that regard speaks volumes for itself. But I don't think I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay, routine. Okay, so Barbara Oakley breaks it down. Okay, from procrastination cue to routine now. Okay, so Oakley explains that the procrastination chunk in your brain generally doesn't have just one routine, but rather several subroutines. You guys probably think, oh, what on earth are you talking about? Several subroutines. Well, let me explain. So the type of distraction that completes the cue determines which subroutine gets triggered. So say, for example, you could have a distraction, which is an email notification, or let's say from social media, like that Snapchat or that Instagram or that Reels message that you get from Instagram, okay? And then in that respect, you then have the cascading, the problem, which comes about because of that. Because once you have that notification, bang, it's an immediate, so you have that stimulus, you have that recognition, boom, you pick up your phone, you now click that. You click that notification. As soon as you've clicked on that notification, you have done yourself nothing but back yourself up in a corner and left yourself in a position where you are now a prisoner in your own mind, where now you end up mindlessly scrolling away through social media. And this routine, it could be so well built and innate to us that we just pick it up, bang, we just endlessly scroll away.
Yeah.
But
let's talk a bit about.
Go on.
Sorry, let's talk a bit about the reward. And what I mean when I say the reward is the temporary sense of achievement? No. I'm trying to think of a word without saying reward again. Accomplishment, yeah. The temporary accomplishment that you feel when you procrastinate. And it's that relief from the anticipated pain that you think is you're going to feel when you do the task. There was a study that was carried out to show why people might put off a certain task and why they might have that fear of doing that task. And this was researching the brain activity of HMAs, and that is when people who essentially suffer from maths anxiety. So this is a really niche study, but I think it can be used to give us a broader sense of understanding. And the study found that when people were thinking of working on maths problems, their brains showed an increased activity in regions associated with identifying danger and experiencing pain. However, these regions did not show an elevated activity when they were actually doing the task, when they're actually carrying out the maths problems, which it just underpins that whole idea of anticipating the pain and substituting that for the temporary reward of procrastination. And although, like I said before, it might just be a really small and, like I said, niche study into maths specifically, I think you guys might be able to find that it's quite relatable in the sense of putting off a big task that you don't want to do, because when you actually do it, you realize, oh, that wasn't actually as bad as I thought. So it goes back to what we said at the start: get started on the task, and that realization will come soon, best believe. And in talking about believing, conceive, believe, achieve. Sorry, my bad. Oakley reiterates that one of the keys to changing any habit is to believe that you can change. Have the confidence, believe in yourself, and you will be able to overcome any procrastination problem that you have. And if you find yourself procrastinating habitually, even if you don't realize it, if you just believe that you can change, this sounds so cheesy right now, but if you just believe that you can change, you will be able to. And that's like we said, half of the problem why you might be procrastinating is because of the attitude you have, because of your mindset. If you have a really destructive mindset and don't believe in yourself and feel like, oh, I don't have the confidence to do anything, then of course that's going to reflect and you're going to end up procrastinating for far too long. Whereas if you just have an adaptive and positive outlook and
Yeah.
attitude, you'll see that positive things will come as a result. So although, like I said, it might sound a bit cliche, have the belief and you'll see
Wow.
the results.
Wow.
Crazy,
Wow.
isn't it?
That
Crazy.
is the way that you put that, I think, is phenomenal. And it kind of leads us on to our next area or topic of discussion, which is actually incredibly brief. Okay, it's just a point I kind of want to outline in that optimistic mindset that you have towards something can subconsciously influence how productive you are. And I say this because I've got a question to ask you, Viaj. Do you think we procrastinate because of bad moods?
Do I think we procrastinate because of bad moods? Yeah, I think there's an element that we do. Yeah, makes sense.
I think, without a doubt, I think that is such an intrinsic driving force to why we resort to doing the things that we do, like picking up our phone mindlessly scrolling away. Because procrastination isn't a unique character or flaw or a mysterious curse on your ability to manage time, but a way of challenging or coping with emotions and negative moods induced by certain tasks. And as what we've previously said with regards to what Tim's cycle as previously elaborated on, procrastination is really, it ultimately is, at the end of the day, it is an emotion regulation problem more than it is anything else. It is not a time management problem. And I think with that respect of where they really emphasize the aspect of it being the task that you have at hand and how you view it, it creates that element of boredom, because when you start the task, it could be boring you. It could be inducing that anxiety on you. And with, like what you previously said, with that research study, wow, it really could. Insecurity, frustration, resentment, self-doubt, and beyond that. But one thing out of all of this, if there's anything out of this pod today that I really want to drive home to you guys, and this is something that I've been really trying to hold back this whole time, in order to prevent ever procrastinating ever in your life again, you need to download this one app, and this one app is called Opal, and I personally use it. So it's not sponsored or anything like that. This is something that I'm just using that really, really helps my productivity. And I say this because I can block whatever apps I want, and in order to unblock those apps, I need to wait 7 seconds. And in those 7 seconds that I wait to unblock those apps, I'm already put off at the idea of the fact that I just want to mindlessly scroll away, because I've been able to step back out of the situation that I'm really in. Okay, cool. Do I really want to mindlessly scroll away? No, I don't really. And then even when I do, I have a time limit between whether that's 1 minute all the way up to 15 minutes. I could just mindlessly scroll away for. Having that in place, so say if I put the maximum limit of 15 minutes, there's only so much I can scroll for before it kind of blocks me off. 15 minutes, boom, that's a cut-off time, back to work. I then have to go back through the process of waiting those 7 seconds and then unblocking the app again, which I think is also incredibly good. Another app which is also good is OneSec, and I used to use that before. I've deleted it, but I need to reinstall it because of the summertime. I don't know why I deleted it, but OneSec is also an incredibly good app. I think it allows like for this breathing mechanism to kick in, and it kind of just allows you to take a step back, do this breathing exercise, and then it lets you in on the app.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something that I kind of want to let you guys in on.
Well, why do we procrastinate because of bad moods? I think now that you've spoken about it, and now that you've given me some time to reflect, 100% yes, we do. It happened to me this morning. I wasn't in a very good mood this morning, and so I had quite a bit of work to do in the morning. I was like, I wanted to get that done, but right now I'm not in the mood to get it done. I just want something that will give me an instant satisfaction, instant pleasure. And as you might think, I would have resorted to not doing the work and doing something else, like watching a funny video, or playing even, which might have given me that instant gratification. Thankfully, I was able to muster up the courage and, like I said before, do one small task of the bigger task, and that enabled me to just roll with it and just get it done. Also utilizing the Pomodoro technique to ensure that I do get that sense of instant gratification just for 5-10 minutes. And within about 30 minutes, the task that I wanted to do, I got it done just like that. And so that's just a clear link between a bad mood and procrastination. So maybe to tackle procrastination, you might want to tackle the reason why you might be in a bad mood in the first place.
Oh, wow.
Question mark.
You could not have put that any other better way, to be honest.
Any other better way? Okay.
Yeah, any other better way. I don't know if I said that right, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, I've got this kind of quote for you guys. Okay, are you guys ready? Okay.
I'm ready. I want to hear this.
Okay, hold on. Give it a
I'm
second.
waiting.
My wife has like to have a look.
Okay.
Ignore the advert. Hold on. Some advert. As you know, he's had. I've got a beautiful quote for you guys before we end off today's podcast, and I think this is something that resonates with. I think this deeply resonated with me and Vihash as well, but something I want to cast upon you guys before we close off today's pod. And that is that talent hits a target no one else can hit, but a genius hits a target no one else can see. Just deep that for a moment. Listen, it's been JXV, it's been your host Joseph and V-Man, aka Vihash. Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed the pod today, but as well as that, is there any outstanding comments that you have for today, Vihash?
Get on with that piece of work that you've wanted to do for the past 10 weeks. Do that now.
100% without a doubt. And just know that everything that we said in today's podcast, right? Just take it with a pinch of salt, because I think with anything that we say, you know, when we do it as well sometimes, okay? But I think
sometimes.
Okay, all right, relax, okay? But one thing that I really want to say to you guys is that take what we say with a pinch of salt and use what we say as, I guess, an ingredient to formulate the most perfect recipe to prevent procrastination in any way possible. Now leave that, guys, with you today, as well as that beautiful quote and that soundtrack, Joel, Sunny, Luminary, that's the official video. Listen, guys, check that out, as well as, you know...
Why are you giving so many sponsors? You're giving your advertising. We don't have any sponsors.
I'm gonna take out that.
Okay, good. All right. Well, it's been amazing speaking with you, Joseph, on such a big topic, and I'm looking forward to the next one as usual. I best believe the people listening are as well.
100%.
And what else do I have to say? I have nothing else to say. I think we've said everything.
I have something to say, but because in our next week's podcast, we are going to be diving into. Let me just get it up. Thinking
10 hours later.
Oh my gosh, brother, let me just say it, man. Okay.
Sorry.
It's going to be another book, but I think this book has... It's something that Vihash and I have read recently, and I think you guys are going to like. You know, actually, you know what? I'd rather not say. I'm gonna leave the suspense to next week.
My days. You've got me questioning what the book is as well, because I don't know what I've read recently.
Listen, you guys will find out. Listen, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's podcast. Joseph out, V-Man out, or aka Vihash out. Thanks.
Say that twice now.
This guy. I can't take you seriously.
All right, see you, man.